Hello, it's Steve from CNS Organics. I wanted to give you guys an update on what's all going on. Um, there's a lot that's happened. I know it's been a little bit since I have made a video, so I wanted to show you guys. All three beds are running. I'm not sure if you can see, but there's a lot of things that I wanted to talk about, and let's see if I can figure this thing out. All right. So, we have all three beds running. This guy here is full of water and it's running good. This one here is running. That one's there. All the plumbing got done. Big thank you to my brother and for coming out and helping me get the beds built and the deck down at the far end built. Since my last video, let me walk down this way. I'm sorry I look a mess. It's been hot and it's been crazy times right now, but I want to kind of show you some of the stuff that I've done since then. So if you remember the fish tank, this is the fish tank. You can see some of the fish. I'll feed them here in a minute. Yeah, they're excited. They see me coming and they're excited. So I'll tell you what, but let's just go ahead and feed them. Hold on a second. Let's toss it in there. Let's check these guys out. Yeah, there's some goldfish in there. There's quite a few koi. I probably have close to a dozen koi in there now. This is a 1,000-gallon fish tank, and there's a couple of them coming up to the top, and they usually splash. They like to really splash really good. Beautiful fish. I still have not done my window. I plan on putting in a window here. I'll probably do that later, maybe this fall. A couple other things to touch on is the plumbing. So my brother helped me run this plumbing. The clean out my last videos you've seen, it went down and over. After that, I had done this grow bed here that just had little clips on it to hold the plastic in place. I have got it all stapled in and where it goes, and I've run this tee here to come up, the line to come over, come up to this guy, and the line to go over there to that guy over there. All three grow beds have the water flowing to them, and they all three have the water coming back to the sump tank. One thing I want to touch on that I've done here real recently, I know there's a lot that's happened. I had mentioned before about putting plastic on the window over there. This is primarily for the summertime. Shutting the door, I still have to put plastic on that window, and there's still the ventilation fans to be put in. But I had some leftover plastic that I'd used in these grow beds. I actually had quite a bit of it left over, and so I put a little bit over the top of just this one end, and I may do another section, and it has significantly helped as far as the clarity of the water, just kind of blocking some of the sunlight so that the algae's kind of like knocked back a little bit on the fish tank. One other thing that I've done, which I'm going to start from the beginning. Let me get around this way where I can kind of walk and see where I'm going. It's kind of weird shooting it this way, and I know a lot of people say, hey man, you got to edit your videos. This is just me raw how I do things, and I'll probably figure all that out. But right now, it kind of is what it is. There's my girl, Elvira. Hello, sit, sit. Yeah, good girl, good girl. That's our old lab. I want to show you guys this, and I know there's gonna be a lot of people that have questions and comments. So I needed to put in a new faucet. This guy here, the faucet would leak if it was turned on behind the knob, the handle, if you will. So all I needed to do is replace an O-ring or a seal or what have you. Come to find out that I couldn't find any. So I had to replace the entire faucet, which is, I think they call it a seal cock. So I did that so that I could leave the water on. It's actually on right now. This faucet is on. If I turn this one here on, it turns on the water hose. And what I'd have to do is I'd have to actually run about 160 foot of water hose out to all the way down there at the far end to that sump tank to add water to top it off. So it was pulling out a heavy water hose and dragging it all the way out there and everything else, and then turning the water hose on and letting it run for a few minutes to kind of top everything off. We have a lot of evaporation. It's been real humid. Most of the temperature's been around 100. Heat index has been well over 100. So what I did in turn is, this is PEX that they sell at all the big box stores, everything else, and all the different fittings. And the second one, it is on right now. It is on all the time. I used some Teflon tape there, and I got a good tight seal. There's no leaks. As you can tell by the dirty ground, there's no leaks. And the PEX, there's my girl. PEX comes down over to this 90, and from there it goes down. And a lot of people are going to ask, well, what about in the wintertime? We don't have really bad winters here. If we do have the chance of a freeze or something like that, what I'll do is I'll probably just disconnect it and drain it. And that way it doesn't freeze and it doesn't crack. All this stuff is about a foot down underneath the ground, so it runs along this way. And I went right next to the trench that I did for my electrical, and it runs right on down. Sorry about the video quality, people. I'm an amateur at this, and it comes down and it comes through and it runs all the way down. So it cost me, I guess, around $75 for all the fittings and the PEX tubing and everything. And you're like, well, $75, I mean, that's expensive, but at the same time, having to pull that water hose time and time and time again, it's making things easier on me. I do plan at the far end where all my construction stuff is, once all the construction's done, for it to be gone. And I actually put in like a little wash basin with a drain and everything else, and I'll be able to tee right into this and turn on a valve or turn on the faucet and have water. Right now the water's not very low. As you can see, it's I don't know, probably about 3 or 4 inches lower than I would normally have it. So I put in this valve, and all I've got to do is kick that valve on, and go back this way, and I've got water to fill up my sump tank to kind of top things off, because there's a lot of evaporation with a 1,000-gallon fish tank, and three 40-foot beds plus the sump and everything else, and how hot the temperatures are. So I can fill it up this way, which is great. Saves me from having to drag all that other stuff out. And I do plan on putting in a float, similar like a toilet float, to where when the water gets to a certain level, it would kick on automatically and it would run until it reached a certain level. I do plan on doing that. I just wanted to kind of touch base on the plumbing side. The PEX is super easy to work with. Shark bite fittings, you just shove them in there, you just push them in real good and tight, and that makes a watertight seal, so you're not like losing any kind of water or anything. So this is kind of an update. I'll go and kick this guy off because I'm not really worried about running it right now. That's the basic update. There's still a lot to do. There's tons to do. I got to do the styrofoam rafts. I was looking at it, and for this amount of footage for the grow bed area, I have 3 40-foot long grow beds. So when it comes to the styrofoam, it will take 5 pieces of a 4-foot by 8-foot piece of styrofoam per grow bed. So you're looking at 5, 5, and 5, that's 15. They're about 15 bucks a piece. You're looking at 300 bucks. I mean, so I'm gonna buy some and do it little by little. We've already got a bunch of little seedlings ready to go in. I've got a couple of rafts here I can show you. These are kind of like what the rafts will look like. Nice and pretty and wide. They just kind of float around. Once I get it all full, they'll actually be kind of butted up next to each other, and each one of those little net cups there will have a plant growing in it. And with this amount of space and room, we'll be able to have tons and tons and tons of plants and a whole lot of vegetation. One other thing I want to touch on real quick, in case you guys are interested in building your own greenhouse or hoop house or what have you. This bed on the left here, I had originally built it. It was the first one. Did great, did awesome. I had to level it up and everything else. It's still working great and good and everything. But what I noticed is that with these sides up in the springtime when it's hot and in the summertime when it's hot, if we had a rain, that the cinder block feet, if you notice, this one's still up on top of the ground and that one has sunk down just a little bit. And a part of that is because of the water that it came in from the side. So what I ended up having to do is, if you can see this kind of diagonal cross member, there's one here. If I get down, there's another one there. I had to kind of like straighten up that grow bed a little bit. And it was mainly because of the ground settling. So I did have to do that. This one over here, if you notice, that one's right up nice on top, and this one's starting to do the same. And it's only because it's out there on that far outside edge that actually gets some of the rain coming in at an angle. So I'm gonna have to do the same thing with this guy. If you look at the middle one, it's pretty good and straight. This one here, yeah, it's starting to lean just a little bit. So I've got the 2x4s and everything. So my construction's not done yet. But I wanted to touch base on that because it's kind of important, you know. You go and you build your bed and everything, and it's all perfect, it's all great. And then you have a little bit of an issue later on. So if you put your grow beds up next to the side, if there's a way that water can get to that dirt, these beds are heavy. I think I figured it up that each one of these grow beds is like 1,600 gallons. I mean, it's like a lot. And 1,600 gallons, and it's like 8.23 something pounds per gallon of water, that's a lot of weight. I mean, it's like 9,000 pounds. I mean, it's like a bunch. I don't even know. I didn't do the math. I'm just saying it's a lot of weight. And so that weight down on the ground, plus the moisture coming in or the rain or whatever, you'll have to be sure to reinforce it. And I guess in hindsight, I should have done like a cross brace both directions, probably at each one of the legs. It's more material and everything else, but it saves you from having to fight it later. I'm having to use like a come along to kind of get things square and straight, and using a level, and then cutting the board and setting it up there and marking it, and then coming back and screwing it in. If I'd have done it all when it was, you know, fresh and just freshly built, it would have been a lot easier because it's already square. Now that it's kind of moved and kind of sunk a little bit, it's not square so much. So, and I may have to end up coming back in and re-shimming on the outsides a little bit. So I didn't want to touch on that. Everything's crazy right now. I'm not sure what I've missed and what I hadn't touched on yet. We harvested some carrots and lots of tomatoes and lots of, you know, your normal stuff, your cucumber and your jalapenos and all those kind of things. And I plan on this being more of towards the end of the summer, and doing some leafy greens and that kind of stuff, and really getting it going then. So we can look at real quick. Here's some babies. Oh, baby plants in the rockle. That's how we start them off. And we've got some squash and stuff. And I can run over here real quick to the original greenhouse. Everything's still going good in it. I did a really big clean out. I cleaned out a lot of the tomatoes and moved some stuff around. I've been doing some maintenance. But we'll take a look at it real quick. So it looks a lot different. We got a okra there and okra there, and the tomatoes are flowering again. You know, they're doing good, and there's even some tomatoes growing and everything. I kind of really this place was getting way out of hand, and I really went through and like cleaned it out big time. Turn this bed off. I'm gonna clean it out. That one there's only got a couple okra. Once it kind of gets done with that okra cycle, I'll probably clean it out. This is the original deep water culture. We have squash going, and we have some beans down at the end. These little fishies here have been going out to the big 1,000-gallon fish tank for the main aquaponics system. And what I do is I buy these guys and I'll put them in here and let them stay in here for a little bit. Let them get a little bit bigger and let them get used to the feed that I give them, but also to kind of quarantine them so that if I got them and there was a disease at the fish store, for whatever reason, just a freak chance and it might have happened, I don't contaminate all my fish. So these guys will live in here for a little bit, and they'll get bigger and stronger. They're looking to be fed right now too. And then what I'll do is I'll transfer them over, and they'll go out there. And then when I get new fish in, they'll actually come into a tank like this, or this one here, and be kind of quarantined from the rest of the fish for a while, just to make sure that there's you know, no problems. I don't want to kill everything all at once just because I bought, you know, a half dozen fish. So keep that in mind too. The fish are the workers. We'll come down here and look at these fish real quick. Let's see. Yeah, those guys are getting big and they're swimming around. They're doing good. We got quite a few down here. Nice thing about the deep water culture is you can have a sump tank. In the sump tank you can keep fish in too. And this one, I'm not sure if we can see. Let me get around this way. Yeah, you can kind of see them down in there. Right now it's feeding time, so all the fish are like jumping around ready to be fed. Anyways, this is Steve from CNS Organics with an update on our systems, our builds, how it's going. I do plan to do another video here like real soon, kind of step by step on how I did the running the water out there, how I actually built the grow beds themselves, how I ran some of the plumbing. Some things are glued together, you know, and some things aren't. Some things that there's not a need. There's no pressure, no water pressure, so there's no need to actually have them glued together. And sometimes it's to where it's a service thing where it's like, hey, you know, it'd be easy to pull this apart and service it, or if I plan on adding a filter, I plan on adding something. So instead of gluing it all together and then having to like cut it and lose fittings and have to buy more and everything else, sometimes you can just kind of push it together and it works out great. But anyways, like I said, this is Steve from here at CNS Organics. We appreciate you guys. Please like and share, hit the subscribe button. Looks like we're almost close to 60, that's great. We only really started kind of getting going in January, and it's, what, July now? So here in just a few months, we've done good. We really do appreciate you guys. Please leave me a comment, something to answer, something to do a video on, any kind of questions and comments. I would really appreciate it. Thanks, guys. Y'all have a good one. Bye.